Well, we've come to the end of another week. Today we are in chapter 3 of 2 Samuel. While you're opening your Bible, two things. I want to encourage you to be in church Sunday and bring somebody with you, to be praying for the services, and also praying for me because next week I'm going to be on study retreat. And so if you're watching the devotions next week, I pre-record them so you will have your devotions. But I will be on study retreat, and I would covet your prayers while I'm away, just spending time with the Lord and just seeking His guidance and digging into His Word a little bit. All right, today, Second Samuel chapter 3, and what I wrote at the top of my journal for this chapter is two conniving men. Two conniving men. I'm talking about Abner and Joab. Abner was the general of King Saul's army. Joab was the leader or general of King David's army, and they were enemies, as you know. Now, in the previous chapter, in chapter 2, Abner makes Saul's son the king of Israel, the 11 tribes. And after a little while, he becomes disenchanted with that king, turns on him, and comes to visit King David and makes a deal with David to lead all of the 11 tribes that had been under Saul's son's kingship. He said, I will make certain that all these tribes come under you and support you, and you can be their king. Well, Joab does not like this. Joab, David's general, what's David doing making a deal with Abner, our arch enemy? He should be killed, and he gets mad. And without letting David know it, and without David's authority, Joab, on his own, tracks down and executes Abner. Neither of these men, neither Abner nor Joab, honored God. They were both motivated by personal, selfish, emotional interest, if you will. For instance, look at Abner and his betrayal of Saul's son in chapter 3 at verses 7 and following. Now Saul had a concubine whose name was Rizpah, the daughter of Aiah, and Ishbosheth, Saul's son, who was the king of the 11 tribes of Israel, said to Abner, why have you gone into my father's concubine? Who gave you permission to do that? And Abner was very angry. He got mad. I mean, I guess he's thinking, I made you king. Leave me alone. I'll have who I want. He filling his oats, so to speak. And in the middle of verse 8, he says, today I show kindness to the house of Saul your father, to his brothers and to his friends, and have not delivered you into the hands of David. Yet today you charge me with a guilt concerning the woman. He said, hey, listen, I've been good to you, O king. I made you king, and I've kept all of you all alive and haven't turned you over to David. And now you're getting mad at me because I had sex with this woman. Then he goes on in verses 9 and following, may God do to Abner, to myself, to me, and more also, if as the Lord has sworn to David, I do not accomplish this for him, to transfer the kingdom from the house of Saul and to establish the throne of David over Israel and over Judah, from Dan to Beersheba. In other words, he got so mad at Ishbosheth over this one incident that he said, hey, that's how you want to do it? Okay, I'll cut a deal with David and betray you. So he wasn't motivated by anything godly. Okay, he got mad because the king called his hand, called him out, and wouldn't let him do whatever he wanted. So he got mad and he betrayed the king to David. Now what about Joab? Well, in chapter 3, at verse 27, so when Abner returned to Hebron, Joab took him aside into the middle of the gate to speak with him privately, and there he struck him in the belly so that he died on account of the blood of Asahel, his brother. And then verse 39, I am weak today, though anointed king, and these men, the sons of this father, are too difficult for me. May the Lord repay the evildoer according to his evil. In other words, what's going on there is Joab, back in chapter 2, in verse 18 and following, had a brother. And during one of these battles between Abner and the army of the 11 northern tribes and Joab and David's army, Joab's army was winning, and so Abner was retreating. And one of Joab's brothers kept chasing Abner. Wouldn't stop fighting, kept chasing him, and finally caught up with him. And Abner said, "Stop, because if you don't, I'm going to have to kill you." And so Joab's brother took the fight to Abner, and Abner won. He killed him in self-defense, if you will. Well, Joab is mad because Abner killed his little brother. And it didn't matter that it was in battle. It didn't matter that Abner said, "Would you stop? I don't want to have to kill you." It didn't matter. He killed his little brother, and Joab and his other brother were going to have their revenge, and so they killed Abner. There's nothing godly about Abner or Joab. Two conniving men. Now, what's the lesson for us? As human beings, it is so easy for us to allow our emotions, our personal feelings about things, if you will, to corrupt us. We're mad about something. We're mad at someone. And we may have a reason to be, and we may not have a reason to be. It doesn't matter. But we've got our emotions and our feelings and all our thoughts and that self-talk, and it corrupts us to the point of doing something ungodly, something evil, something wrong. You see, in the Christian life, integrity, godliness requires that we even submit our emotions to the lordship of Jesus Christ. Just because we feel something does not mean it's right. Just because our emotions are pushing us to do something does not mean it's justified or godly. Submission of everything, including our emotions, to the lordship of Jesus Christ is foundational. It's a foundational value, if you will, if we're going to live a Christ-like life. You cannot be driven by your emotions. You must be driven by your values. God, not your values, God's values, God's morality, God's ethics, God's character, the fruit of the Spirit. That must be the driving force in your life, not your emotions. One produces sin and ungodliness. The other, Christ-likeness. I know it's something we all struggle with at times, right? But we need to be so conscious of it. And sometimes say to yourself, "No, I'm not going to do that. My emotions, I feel it, but my emotions are not Christ-like right now." Okay, that's the word for today. I'll see you Sunday in church. Then we'll have the devotions Monday. Thank you so much for being with me this week.